Hello fellow Pinthusiasts, today we're going to be talking about 10 things I wish I knew when I first started pin trading. Just so you guys know, Mary's not kicked off the team or anything. We're just all quarantined right now because of the coronavirus that's going on. Since that's happening, I'm going to be doing this video by myself. I miss her, but don't worry, of course I consulted her on all these things that I'm going to be telling you right now. So without further ado, here's our list. So number one is fake pins. It's a pretty well-known fact that fake pins run rampant throughout Disneyland, Disney World, and other affiliates. For those of you who don't know, on pin boards and cast member lanyards, you're going to see a lot of really nice pins that you might be tempted to trade for. I just need you to know that about 90 to 95% of them are fake pins. This is really important. I don't want to steer you away from pin trading. I just want you guys to be informed. And this is something that I really wish I knew, because when I started pin trading, I would buy this $10 pin and then I would trade it on a board and get this cheap knockoff pin that I didn't realize was fake at the time, and when I looked closer I saw that something was up. Just so you guys know, be careful when you're trading in the parks. You'll see that fake pins are usually dipped or scratched. Look at the back for any misspellings. The best way to figure out whether a pin is fake is if you have a real one with you, and then you could check to see if there are any differences between the two. The second thing I wish I knew when I started pin trading is about Facebook groups. There are a ton of really awesome Disney pin trading Facebook groups that you can join. You can join ones that'll help you trade and buy pins from other pin traders. You can find ones that are meant to find out whether a specific seller, if you're buying online off eBay or something, you can figure out whether they are a reputable seller. You can figure out all sorts of really awesome things about Disney pin trading, and I'm gonna link below some of my favorites. Some of the ones that I'm joined into personally is Disney pin trading and selling. There's just a whole host of really awesome groups, and what's nice about these online groups is that they are heavily moderated. So when you're trying to trade for a pin or you're trying to sell or buy a pin, you'll be protected in some form or another by these really awesome admins and moderators. Next thing I want to talk to you about is pin lots. When you're buying pins in bulk online, let's say you're trying to get a whole bunch of pins so that you can go on a park and trade, a lot of people are going to go with this really cheap option on eBay or Amazon, and they can buy pins in bulks of 50 or 100 or even more. The problem with all of these pin lots is they are all fake. Unfortunately, all eBay pin lots and all pin lots on Amazon are 100% fake. There's not a single pin in there that's real. You're not going to have like a 2% chance of getting a real pin. Every pin from those pin lots, regardless of how close to the real thing they look like, are 100% fake. Be careful with those pin lots. I will say a good alternative is on some Facebook groups, you'll be able to find very reputable pin traders that do sell pins at a very reasonable price in bulk. Usually when you go to Disneyland, you'll have to find like a pack of 6 or 7 pins for $35. It's like $5 a pin. If you're just trying to go out and pin trade at the park, you can find sellers that can sell them at about $1.70 to $1.85 a pin, which is ridiculously good. You have authentic pins 100%. I won't put out their names just because I don't know if they are looking for that kind of exposure at the time, but I will link you to one of the Facebook groups that you'll be able to ask who has these nice grab bags that you can get. The fourth thing I want to talk about is pin books. Pin books are a really awesome way to organize your pins when you go out to trade at the parks, or if you go out to an event and you want to trade with other pin traders. Pin books are definitely the way to go instead of lanyards. Lanyards are really cool. You get to show off your pins, but if you don't have a secure pin back, these pins can fall over. Keep that in mind. If you do want to keep using your lanyards, by all means do so. You want to use your jacket, that's completely fine, but I would recommend not using the pin backs that Disney supplies, the rubber backs. If you could find like butterfly locking pins or these really cool locking pins that kind of look like top hats, these are really awesome pin backs that you can use to secure your pins, and you'll feel much more secure, much safer when you go out to the parks. In terms of pin books, there's a couple ways you can go. These two types of really well-known pin books that are called Kraken trade books, and Pinfolio. Go Pin Pro makes these really awesome pin trading books that are really great for displaying your pins, and they're really great for putting pins inside. So when you open up these books, you'll find really nice foam that's used to put out your pins so that you can show them off and so that you can trade a lot easier. You don't have to use pin bags. Another great pin bag that a lot of people use that I have personally been using recently with Mary are Kraken bags. I don't have them with me at the moment, but I'll try to show some B-roll of it right here. These are incredible bags, and they're just like Pinfolios in the sense that you can display your pins. I'll say in terms of like the quality of how these bags are made, I do like that the Pinfolio is able to show more pins on the outside, but the Kraken feels a little more secure, and it also has a nice padding on the front that protects your pins if it ever falls over. So I highly recommend the Kraken Meg and the Pinfolio Show if you're gonna go with a more serious pin bag. So number 6 is focusing your collections. I know when you start pin trading, you might want to collect just a cajillion different types of movies and characters because you love them so much, but try to focus on just 1 or 2 characters or movies that you want to collect. For example, I wanted to collect all of Nightmare Before Christmas, Pirates of the Caribbean, Goofy movie. I wanted to collect every single movie that I really love, but I love so many Disney movies that I realized very quickly that I'm gonna have a heart attack, my wallet's gonna be depleted, and I'm gonna lose my job and family if I keep trying to get all these collections done. What I ended up doing was I started off with Nightmare Before Christmas, and then Mary talked me down to just collecting Jack Skellington because he's my favorite character in that movie. And I'm able to consolidate my pins. I'm able to focus my goals on getting very specific pins. And instead of getting a million very small Nightmare Before Christmas pins, I'm able to focus on some of the higher end Jack Skellington pins. And I'm very pleased with how my collection has grown so far. Now, this isn't discouraging you from collecting multiple characters. Just try to build your collections here and there. So I started off with Jack Skellington and Doctor Strange and Spider-Man. But Doctor Strange and Spider-Man were some of my side collections, and Jack Skellington was my main collection. So I would actively search for Jack Skellington pins when I was pin trading, but every once in a while I'll find a Spider-Man or Doctor Strange pin that looked kind of cool, and then I would trade for that if I felt like it, but I would mostly try to seek out the Jack Skellington pins. That way I grew that collection even more, and I would slowly build up my side collection. And once those side collections were built up, it started looking like a main collection for someone else. Number 6 is gonna be official Disney pins not found at Disney parks. A lot of you, when you first start pin trading, is because you go to Disneyland, Disney World, and you start collecting all these really awesome pins from their little pin shops, Westford Ho and all that jazz. But there are other official Disney pins made that are not found in the parks. One of them is Disney Studio Store Hollywood. I had a whole video on Pin Trader Delight pins that you could find at Disney Studio Store Hollywood. And then there's Acme pins, which are no longer kind of a thing, but they aren't. It gets a little complicated, but Acme pins are another type of official Disney pins. You can also find fig pins online. These are really awesome figurine pins that are official Disney pins, and I love the Spider-Man pins that come out from there. I use them in my own collection. If you can't go to Disney Park, there are other ways to find pins. Try to get a fig pin, or you try to look for Disney Studio Store Hollywood pins. There's so many different type of officially licensed Disney pins that you can try to see, not just park pins. And it's good to expose yourself to all these different pins because you're gonna eventually see them and wonder where they're from. Number 7 is how to trade with cast members versus how to trade with park traders. When I mean park traders, I just mean other Disney pin traders like yourself that go to Disneyland, they bring their pin books, and they're basically open for business to pin trade with you. So with cast members, it's pretty easy. The rules are you have to have a pin in good condition that has a Disney pin trading logo on the back. The only way that a cast member can say no is if the pin is just mangled or it's just not an official Disney pin. Unfortunately, like I said earlier, there's some fake pins that have been made and they still have the logo on the back, so that's why these pins are found all over the park. Another couple rules that you have to obey is you can only trade one pin for one pin, but it could be any one pin for any one pin that they have. Their badges don't count. It has to be someone who's trading from a pin board or their lanyards or their little pin pouches. Another rule they have to follow is that each person can only trade 2 pins to a certain pin board or lanyard. So if you have 2 people, you can trade up to 4 pins to this cast member. Now, in terms of trading with park traders, there are traders that trade a lot of very small pins. There's traders that trade a lot of very high-end pins, and then there's traders that do a little bit of both. In terms of trading for small pins, go to the pin trader, tell them all the pins that you saw that you really like, and then they'll ask to see what your traders are. They'll tell you what pins they're looking for, and they'll look at the pin that you have on your pin bag or your lanyard, and they'll tell you what they like. And then you could try to trade 1 for 1 usually when it comes to very small traders. When it comes to the higher end traders, probably around 20 bucks or more, you're gonna wanna ask what they're valuing their pin at. Now what that means is just like a dollar amount that they think their pin is worth. So if they think their pin is worth $100, it could be worth $100. If they think it's worth $20, it could be worth $20. You ask what they're valuing their pin at. They'll look for the pins that they like from you. You tell them what you think your pins are valued at, and then you just try to even it up in terms of kind of this imaginary value. If you don't know how to value your pins, that's completely fine. It happens to everyone. What a lot of pin traders do is that they'll go on eBay and they'll look at the sold listings of a pin, and they'll approximately value their pins around that, a little higher, a little lower, averaging it. I will say that most pin traders will value their pins a little higher than their sold listings. Just be aware of that. It's completely normal. And the number 8 thing I want to talk about is the movability of pins. Now, the movability of pins and the value of pins are different, but they can go hand in hand. The value of a pin is how much money someone thinks a pin is worth. The movability of a pin is how tradable a pin is. So Ariel and other Disney princesses, Disney villains are very tradable pins. So they're moved from one hand to another very easily. But another pin, let's say Periwinkle, Tinkerbell's sister, for those who don't know, is a not so popular character. So pins for Periwinkle are not very movable. Or let's say pins like the Horned King, which is the villain from the Black Cauldron. Pins of the Horned King aren't nearly as movable as pins of Ariel. So even though a pin of Horned King could be valued at $80, a $60 Ariel pin is much more likely to trade than that $80 Horned King pin. And that's really important to know if you're trying to go for a pin that you're not looking to keep, but you're looking to just have as a good trader. It's important to look at the value of a pin, but it's also important to look at the movability of that pin, because if a pin is not movable, then you're just going to be stuck with a pin that you don't really want, and it's going to take a lot longer to get rid of that pin for a pin that you're eventually going to keep. So it's important to realize what a movability of a pin is, as well as the value of that pin. So the 9th thing I want to talk about is knowing the value of your pin and the value of the pins that you are in search of. So this is one of the best ways to make your trading so much easier when you're trading with another park trader, because you'll be able to have an approximate value for a pin, and you'll be able to figure out what pins you're gonna need to give up to get that pin. And that way you're protecting yourself from any uneven trades that you might enter. This is also a way to stop yourself from overwhelming your brain with every single pin that's existed, because there are literally thousands upon thousands of pins that have been released. So if you want to try to memorize all of them, that's completely fine, but it'll be very difficult. And the final piece of advice I like to give everyone that I wish I knew when I started trading is it's okay to say no to a pin trade. When you go out trading and you see that you really want a pin and they want a pin that you have, but you think that your pin is just a little more valuable than theirs and you want to keep it, just say no. It's completely fine. No one's gonna hold it against you if you say no to a pin trade. Now, when I say this, I don't mean go out and tell someone off because you don't think the value matches between your 2 pins. Just politely say, I think I'll pass on this pin. It's okay to say no. Don't have to take a pin trade, especially if you don't feel comfortable with it. It's all about feeling confident in your trade so that you don't have buyer's remorse afterwards. It sounds easier than I make it out to be, but it's just something that you have to get over. Once you're able to say no to a couple of trades, then you start feeling a little more comfortable, and you're gonna feel a lot better about the trades that you make. You're gonna feel a lot more comfortable, and you're gonna be so much happier with all these little transactions that you've made with other pin traders. All right, guys, it's now time for the pin of the day. And I'm very excited for today's pin of the day because I just saw this movie recently with Mary and my brother, and it really hit home to me. I got really emotional at the end, but I just saw Onward. This is the marquee pin for Onward. This marquee pin is from Disney Studios Hollywood. I think it is beautifully made. You have Ian and Barley hanging out right next to the El Capitan Theater. This is an awesome pin. I'm so glad I got it. If you saw the movie, tell me what you thought of it in the comments below. I would love to hear what you thought of the movie. But I thought it was awesome. I hope you guys did too if you saw it, and if you didn't, I think it'll be out on Disney Plus pretty soon too. So please keep yourself safe, wash your hands. Thank you for watching this video. If you liked it, give it a like or subscribe. I would very much appreciate it. It helps me know that you guys are watching, and I'll try to make another video with Mary. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.